Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Paul Finck, the Maverick Millionaire, and this is the Mavericks Do It Different podcast. And today I want to introduce something special to you because, yes, we're doing a podcast and we're going to be talking about nothing else other than podcasting. And we've got a special guest with us that is an expert in podcasting. She's the CEO of Smooth Sailing Business Growth, Smooth Business Podcasting, content marketing podcast expert, host of Leveraging Your Podcast. And I know all of you that have podcasts, this is highly important to you. Leveraging Your Podcast show and a creator of the podcast leveraging system. We're going to talk about that. Growing a successful content marketing agency is what she's done, launching her own podcast for herself and for her clients. She quickly learned the true power of podcasting, skeptical at first and then scared of putting herself out there, which I know I've heard from all of you. She's done it and created the attitude of let's keep going, let's make it happen, and it's all paid off. Her business grew 60% each year consistently. That's really key. Lindsay has been featured on MSN, NBC, Fox, published in Huffington Post, and goes solo, guesting on podcasts across the country and around the world, has shared her expertise at events such as the Dream Business Academy, Podfest, and Service Business Edge. All this is awesome. You want to hear more, stay tuned. She loves helping entrepreneurs build their authority, increase visibility through the power of podcasting with her full service podcasting content marketing services. Lyndsay Phillips is in the house. Thank you so much for joining us. It's a pleasure to have you here. Welcome.
Howdy, Paul. And welcome to thank you for your audience, and happy to meet you and everyone in your community.
We've got so much to talk about, and we've seeded a couple things already in the intro. So let's talk about how do we leverage our podcasts and both as the podcast or the person running the podcast as the host, as well as how do we leverage ourselves as the guest. And that component is one of the places that most people start is, my God, I want to be a guest. I've got this great business. I want to get my message out there. What do we do to leverage our time, our energy in making all this happen?
Yeah, it's funny. Guesting on a show, you think, okay, all the power is in the host's hands, right? They're going to share it with their community, their people. I'm going to get in front of thousands. But there's so much more that you can do besides relinquishing control over to the host. I don't know about you, Paul, but I've been on a number of shows that not only haven't even told me when it's gone live, believe it or not, but they haven't given me any assets, images, or they have, and then I've gone to their site where they've posted it, and it just has a little blurb about me. There's nothing enticing that's luring them into wanting to listen, and they didn't really promote it as much as I would have promoted it. I mean, being from a content marketing firm, obviously, social media and content is our thing. So right. I was just like, well, I can't just leave it as is. I need to take it under, control and leverage it and promote it and use that content my way. I want people to see that I'm an expert in whatever it is. And I want people to know, she's on all of these shows. She speaks on stages. It just boosts your credibility and your authority. And so why leave it to somebody else to do that for you?
Yeah, no question. You've got to take control of your business, which means take control of your content, take control of your marketing and how your brand is promoted out there. So what are some of the things that we can do to really leverage that? Because I've had the same experience you have.
Yeah.
I've been on a million different podcasts, and half of them minimum, there was nothing. There was no activity. There was no real momentum with it. So what do we do? How do we really step up our game with this? As everyone now is on podcasts, everyone should be on podcasts if they're not. how do we really make it worthwhile and leverage our time?
For sure. So I have created the podcast leverage system for hosts and for guests. And the first step is publishing for results. And it's like, we publish our own podcasts, we publish blogs, videos, whatever it may be, but you always want the content to be on your website. That is your hub. That's where people are going to find out about your business, your services, how you can help them. So don't be afraid to publish that episode on your own blog post versus sharing the host's iTunes link or website link or whatever it may be, because that's your content. It's your expertise that's being shared. And I've even gone far as to create my own show notes. I'm like, I don't like what the other person wrote. It's not showcasing me in the right light. And it's not showcasing my expertise that is enticing and attracting listeners. So I've created my own show notes. I've put them up on my blog post. And then that way too, I'm able to SEO those posts. And I've even tweaked the title slightly just for the WordPress post so that I can optimize it for specific keywords. So publishing it on your website is like one of the foundational pieces.
Oh my gosh. Great idea. And it's something that I'm pretty sure my team's not doing now. So definitely a great concept. When you do, and you're posting it on your website, where in your website makes sense? Is it a blog? Is it you're right next to your other podcasts? Like, where do you put it specifically in your website?
That's a great question. It kind of depends on, like, I have blogs. I don't write them as much as I used to just because I podcast so much, but you could just put it in with your blogs. I am a podcast host, obviously. So I have the podcast section and I just add mine to the podcast, like the podcasting category page. And then it's kind of like lumped in with there. I have some clients where they don't have their own podcast, but they do blog. So instead of lumping it in with their blogs, they have one spot or a category, if you will, that is guest interviews. So you can, like, especially if you're doing them on a regular basis. So they just add it to that category, but either which way, you just want to make sure that it's easily found on your website. Even on your homepage, you can have like most recent episodes, and the plugin just filters them right in, but it showcases them on the main page. And the other really cool trick that you can do, and this is part of the distributing step that I have, is that in LinkedIn, in your profile, there's a section that is featured or featured articles. Right. Yeah. And so definitely always have like one, like if it's your podcast, then one that's your podcast. If you have a blog article that is really like the one thing that your audience is always wanting to know about or is the biggest problem, but make sure that you have one there that showcases you as a guest, because then also think about people that are coming onto your LinkedIn profile and they see, oh, she's a guest on podcasts. Ooh, maybe she'd be a good guest on my show. So it just, again, showcasing yourself as a guest expert in like multiple different ways on all platforms so that people see you as that stature and authority and having that credibility.
Love that idea. And the featured section in LinkedIn is a great place to highlight all your programs, your courses, and doing your podcasts. And I never thought about putting other people's podcasts to showcase you as an interviewee instead of an interviewer.
Yeah. Just make sure it's going to your blog post versus the other person's.
Right. So that it's linked to you. And so you get the SEO out of it instead of sending it over there. Great ideas. I love your excitement around all this. All these new ideas, guys, implement. And Lindsay is the person who can bring it to the forefront and actually implement these and more. So where do you want to take this? What else? Love these ideas. So leveraging ourselves as a podcast guest. Any other ideas?
Part of the distribution too is, again, just making sure that you're distributing it to all the channels that are important to you. So obviously social media posts, but not to forget your email list. It like when you're a guest on the show and you do up your blog post, whatever that is, but share one of those tips in an email to your list. You're serving them, you're top of mind, and then obviously, I also share this, and this on this episode. Go here to check it out. Or you can just share, the whole episode and say, hey, I was on the show, blah, 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 blah. But I like the approach better of sharing a tip or a nugget from the episode, because it's just a quick bite that someone can like read and absorb right away. And then, entice them to let them know what else you share in the episode, and then share your blog post so that they're going over to your site.
So taking control,
Yeah.
rewriting, restructuring, highlighting what you want to have highlighted in
Mhm.
podcasts, all really key. For all these things, we want to boost our visibility. We want to
Yeah.
boost our authority. We want to boost our leads.
Yes.
What can we be doing to do that in a bigger way?
That's a great question. So, and that's part of the reason why having a blog post on your site for it is really key, because you want to take advantage of that real estate that's on the right-hand side there, the sidebar. It's funny how many blogs are still out there that are like full width, and you're not taking advantage of that real estate. So you can have like, let's say you have a Facebook group or even your social media feed going through, so people are enticed and connect with you there. Obviously, one of your key signature programs or a lead magnet. And then also on the blog post itself, you don't necessarily want like text, because it's just hard to read. Mix it up with some of the quote graphics. Add one of your call to actions. Maybe you're an affiliate for something. Add a little graphic that showcases one of the tools that you use that you're an affiliate for. And then again, you're leveraging that real estate to get more leads.
With all of this, we've got the concepts of getting on. Any tips as to getting on more podcasts? How do we get ourselves out there we want to be on more and more podcasts?
Mhm.
And you said some of the techniques. Anything else that we should be doing to like just explode our name out there?
One of them is to make sure that you have, I call it a press page. Some people call it a media page, speaking page, but make sure that you have a page on your website. So when people are going to your site, they see that you are a speaker, that you are a guest expert. And so on that page, you can it's again, super simple. Your image, your bio, maybe the topics that you talk about, downloadable one sheet, your headshot that's easy to grab, and even just different stages that you've spoken on or guest appearances that you've had, so that they can check those out. So when people go to your site, it's just super easy to recognize that you're a guest expert that they could grab or hire, interview, whatever.
Right, exactly.
But there are also a ton of resources out there, Paul. Like there are guest booking services, interview valet, your expert bookers. I mean, if you Google, guest bookers, you'll find a bunch of them. And the key with those is that they will get you on shows that will put you in front of your ideal audience, because you don't want to spend the time and the investment and be on a show just for the sake of being on a show. And just because someone has like 1 million downloads per episode, that's not the key factor either. Like that's great. It might get you in front of like a ton of ears, but if those ears aren't your buyers or aren't your ideal clients, then kind of like, what's the point? And then there's tons. The last point is that there are a ton of other like matchmaker sites. Podmatch is one of my favorite. Guestio is another. Pitch.db is another one, where you can set up a profile. You can pick and choose and like reach out to those hosts and pitch yourself.
That's a great idea, and so many resources out there. So you recommend reaching out to those resources. What is it? And you play so many parts and help so many people in so many different ways. Can you give us a thumbnail version of what is it that someone reaches out to you, what they would expect, and where in this whole matrix you'd be your superpower is
Yeah.
helping them out?
That's a great question. We work with hosts and guests, and we do some production, and sometimes we just do show notes for people. But our sweet spot truly is leveraging those episodes, whether you're a host or you're a guest. We do a whole analysis and audits of like your social, your website to make sure that you're taking advantage of every lead capture and lead generation strategy and showcasing yourself as a guest expert. But then once that episode is live, we take the audio, we can take the video, create the show notes, publish it on your website, distribute it, create those emails, and just create those content assets, reels, those little square videos that are just like a little sound bite of it to give teasers, quote graphics or engagement questions to get kind of like that conversation going with your social audience. So yeah, all those assets and scheduling it and publishing, that's our sweet spot.
Amazing. With getting it out there, I know with all of our audience, and we've got people listening all around the world, actually in podcast heaven right now, listening to all this. The reason why most people would reach out to you is because they've already stumbled and stubbed their toe often. What are some of the big mistakes that you've seen that people have made in bringing out their podcast, either as a guest or as a host? What are some of the things that they've done that you go, this is why you call us?
Absolutely. One of them is not like leveraging the episode. They share, on social, yay, this episode went live, and they may tag the person, and that's great, but then that's it. And like, as you know, Paul, like the feed goes every day. And if you're not sharing, it's okay to share like multiple times. It's okay to like bring an episode from a year ago if the content was great and reshare it. And just like you're not killing banging your head against a wall trying to figure out what to create for content. You have so much stuff, use it. So generally, yeah, they just don't think of how to like pull a little quote out of the episode, or even asking for the video from the host if you guested. Like if again, whoever guests on my show, I'm happy to give you the raw video file for you to put it in your YouTube or create reels. Like it's only a benefit to me, right? So don't be afraid to ask for that. And generally speaking, Paul, I mean, there's so many things to do in your business. They just don't have time or the wherewithal to do it, to figure out the tech of creating those little videos, of how to figure out how to make an audiogram, or they don't have the design skills to make, beautiful graphics. And that's okay. You've got your own expertise and your own brilliance. So most of the time it's just that lack of time, the lack of the technology, and just not realizing how much you can use from it. And then you don't have to like try to figure out, oh my God, what am I going to post next week?
In this day and age, the getting out there with video, getting out there with content is so important.
Mm-hmm.
We are competing more than ever with so much content coming at us in so many different ways on the platforms, on social media platforms, on websites, in all avenues, that you've got to stand out. You've got to create that. And I'm with you. I've been in business now for I think a couple of years longer than you. You've been doing this for over 13 years now.
Yep. I don't know where good time goes.
It's unbelievable, isn't it? And with that, I've gone through the struggle of making sure I had content, making sure I had all these posts out there. And podcast, really good idea. And then I would start and stop.
Yeah.
And it would be a real catch can of getting the stuff out there until I either, and I've done both, outsourced and insourced, had internal team as well as external, but someone who was dedicated to taking care of this on a regular basis, meaning every single day or week, focusing in on what to do with the podcast, how to repurpose, how to grab content, edit, and all these things. And so it's so important to have a service like yours in your matrix of what you do, because you cannot do it alone.
You can't. It's exhausting. You'll burn out.
Yes. And so really important, what are some of the results and that, we're both advocates for? You've got to have a podcast, you've got to be guests on podcasts. What are some of the results that and some of the reasons why people should be podcasting on a regular basis? What are the things, why do we do this in our business?
Oh man, this could be like a whole episode, Paul. There are so many good reasons. And it's funny, when I first started out, for me, it was, okay, I want to get my name, my business in front of more people faster. Because if you're talking, I'm talking to you, you have like a huge audience, so they're going to learn about me. I can't do that quickly on my own by myself. And I was like all about the lead gen. But as I went on and I started to do, meet more people, then I started to get invited on to other shows, and just the opportunities open up and people are like, oh, I know this person. You would make a great guest. Fabulous. Or getting asked to be in part of a giveaway or a virtual conference or speaking on stage. It just opens so many more doors for you to get in front of new audiences and also boost your authority and your credibility. It just like multiplies the speed of how quickly you can get that done. And my favorite part is like meeting new people. It's like so much fun and collaborating. I've created some killer partnerships with people that I've had on my show or I've been on their show. We refer business to each other, especially when there's like parallels in your business. That is the quickest way for me for business growth, is those partnerships and collaborations. It will save you years of work and it's more fun.
Yeah, I hear. I've so much of my business is based on joint ventures and partnerships. And with a podcast, it's one of the easiest ways to get in front of new people, to put your voice out there, to connect with that concept of one to many that you were talking about. All of that, it's a multiplier. And so in and of itself, it does great things in building your authority and visibility. The rest of the story is everything else behind the scenes of all the people that you connect with and the ease with which you can build those connections by saying, hey, I'm a podcast guest. Come and interview me. And that alone, in broadcasting that, you can do so much and build a great business. Anyone that's starting a business, this is a great way to multiply. And anyone that has been in business for a while to catapult to another level, this is a great methodology to do as well.
Agreed. And it's not going away anywhere.
Yeah, it's not going away anywhere. Video is here to stay. Audio is here to stay. Podcasting is here to stay. And I do say video and audio. And I'll ask you, with being an expert in podcasting, when I first entered podcasting, they were like, oh, it's an audio platform. Well, then now I do all my podcasts on video.
Heck yeah.
So is that a staple now? Is that kind of considered a norm that everybody does podcasts, audio and video?
It should be. I can't remember because I never remember stats, for the love of God. But the stats are like, I think only like, I don't know, 30% of podcasters are using the video portion of it.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, what? That's crazy to me. Like, it takes no extra effort to record the video, because people want to see faces, right? They want to see the interaction. They want to see facial expressions. People can get to know you so much faster when they see you. So to be able to put that in YouTube and then use it for video clips and reels, and you can embed the video on your blog post. Some people like to watch, some people like to just listen. So you want to, kill as many birds as you can with one stone, right?
It's repurposing. When I first got started, I was like, all right, so I'm doing a video interview. Oh, now that's called a podcast. Got it. Okay, great. Same thing.
Yeah.
And to repurpose, and all our conversation for that we've been together here and talking about it has all been focused in on do both so that you can repurpose both. And we've talked a lot about the video component. Yeah, just something that I've thought about and highlighted that people go, oh, I didn't know it was going to be video too. Wait, let me put makeup on. So the and
Yeah, it's funny.
but it's a standard.
Yeah. I can't even remember the last time I had a podcast interview that I was a guest on where I didn't see the person.
Right. So
but
if it's only 30% though that are doing
that uses the video, I'm like, what? Well, if you're recording it, why are you using it?
So they recorded video, but they never use it, and they kind of trash it. Oh, that's even worse. Yeah. So if there's one thing that you take away from these discussions is repurpose. Use every bite of information and technology that you have available to you when you podcast, because it's valuable and it multiplies from that point.
Absolutely. And you can control the how you're being marketed out there and what information you're sharing, because sometimes the host of whoever you're guesting on, they pull out a nugget of information and share it, and you're like, oh, wasn't really an important piece of information. We're like,
been there.
Something else I said like 10 minutes later was like, that's what I would like you to share. And you can brand it all in your own brand. And so that way, everything on your news feed and everything that you're putting out there is on your own brand. And then you're like, featured on this show with the little cover art. So then you have control over your own branding and your own marketing.
That's really key is sometimes, and it doesn't matter what platform you're working on, people take away what they're going to take away. And when you're talking about branding, when you're talking about marketing, to be in control of highlighting what you want to be known for is really key. And so writing your own notes, putting it on your own website, repurposing it in the way that you want, really key. So great, amazing advice, really valuable. With everybody that's listening here, and we'll get to how to reach out, because if you have not gotten that Lindsay knows her stuff and can help you out, you have not been listening. So we will absolutely give you a way to connect up with Lindsay in just a moment. With everyone listening, keywords of advice, last bits of nugget that you want to leave everyone with
is don't be afraid to ask for help. Even I find, and I feel this way sometimes too, where it's like, you feel like you need to know everything, you need to do everything, where it's like, there's no shame in asking for help. I don't know how to do this. I can't figure this part out. Do you know someone that can do this? You know what I mean? Or leaning and, whether it's a VA, whether it's an agency like me, whatever, take that off your plate. Your shoulders will like drop. And and progress over perfection. I mean, our work is perfect, so no worries there.
Yeah, that's huge. And I'll say that is a component of success in every avenue of your life. It's one of the things that I didn't do early on.
No,
in my 20s and 30s, I was an entrepreneur, and that was my Achilles heel, is I never asked for help. And I thought, I got to know all the answers. I got to do it all.
I know.
And it was one of the biggest components of my growth is learning that I don't need to know it all, that I can ask for help. And to simply say, I don't know, is one of the most powerful phrases you can ever learn to say out loud, across every platform, across everything that you do in life.
It's hard to be vulnerable. I mean, even just January, I was kind of going through some stuff and what to niche down on, and what I just felt like I was split in a bunch of directions. And I was like a hot mess. And so I reached out to like a couple of pillars in the industry, and I'm like, can I like have your ear for 15 minutes? And I was like, I'm really struggling. And I'm like, can I bounce some ideas off you? And it was like, I really had to go out of my comfort zone to like reach out and ask. But
Yeah.
because I did, it just helped me get so much clarity faster. And like, it only strengthened my relationship with those people. And they don't think ill of me for like, oh, she doesn't have her stuff together. Like,
Right.
I don't think that about anyone. So I'm like, I shouldn't expect people to think that about me. And it gave me so much clarity. It was so helpful.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so important and so key above everything else that we've been talking about. Ask for help, lean
Yeah.
out. There's so many great people that are in this industry and that want to help, that want to give a helping hand to everybody around them. And it's how we all grow. You
Yeah.
cannot build this alone. You
And we're
cannot
human. It's
build.
like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Most of my audience wants to be millionaires. They want to build a multi-million-dollar business.
Yeah.
You cannot do it in isolation, guys.
No.
You've got to reach out. Lindsay, what a pleasure. What a great resource for all this information.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Where can people grab hold, continue this conversation with everything that you have available and to guide to other resources? Where can they reach you?
For sure. They can go to smoothbusinessgrowth.com is my main hub. And if they are guesting and they want me to audit what they're currently doing and how to leverage it and optimize it in a bigger way, they can go to leverageyourpodcast.com/guest audit. Currently they're free, but I don't know how long that will be free for. We'll see.
Ooh, the teaser. Yeah, absolutely, guys. Go to those resources, go to those URLs, those websites, grab the information, get connected with Lindsay, and watch what will happen with your business. Because this is a real key aspect of what's happening in the marketplace right now. So you want to be on the cutting edge. This is the time to pay attention to it. Lindsay, thank you so much for being here. Lyndsay Phillips, absolutely. Go to those, and all the information that we've shared out loud will be in the descriptions and the show notes and all that. So absolutely grab hold, and we encourage you, pay attention, do what's necessary to build your authority, and watch what happens with your podcast and your business overall. Thank you so much, Lindsay.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me. See you, folks.
We are here. Thank you so much. This is Paul Finck. This is the Mavericks Do It Different podcast. Absolutely. We're building this and growing this all around the world. So continue to like, share, follow, give us great reviews, do all that's necessary to get the messaging out there so that we can build this community and build the Maverick universe more than ever in exponentially sharing this information. Thank you so much. This is where we do it different, as Mavericks always will. Till next time, everyone.
Thanks for being here today. As our gift to you, be sure to go to themaverickuniverse.com where you can download your free copy of the Maverick Manifesto. Until next time, dare to be different. Dare to be a Maverick.